In a society where wealth and appearance go hand in hand, looking rich is often associated as a symbol of success. But what if I told you there is a power in looking the opposite, looking poor or unpretentious? Stick with me and find out why embracing a modest appearance might be the best decision that you can make. But before we jump into it, I have to tell you a story about Jake. Meet Jake. He just bought his dream car, sleek, fast and expensive. For the first few weeks, he's on top of the world. Every drive feels like a movie scene. Every glance from strangers make you feel unstoppable. But here is where things get interesting. Fast forward a few months and something changed. The excitement is gone, the thrill faded, now it's just the car, and suddenly he's scrolling online, eyeing on even better one. Sounds familiar? That's Hedonic Treadmill Effect where big purchases feels amazing until it doesn't. And then we crave for the next thing. Believe this time it's finally going to make us happy. But Jake is not alone. Study shows that material thing gives us a temporary dopamine boost. But soon after we adopt and return to the normal happiness level. So what's the fix? Instead of chasing things, Jake starts investing in experiences. Instead of upgrading his car, he travels. Instead of buying another watch, he spends time with friends. And guess what? Those moments last longer than any purchases ever could. So the next time you think about, okay, I'll buy this, think yourself again. Really? For how long? Or are you just running on a treadmill, chasing again and again a new thing for you to become happy? So I hope this example tells you something about yourself. Are you climbing the right mountain? Are you chasing the right dream or not? And if you are doing that, are you taking the right path or not? So the first point I'm going to talk about, that why looking poor can be the best decision of your life, is the power of humility. Let's start with one of the most profound benefits of looking poor: humility. Society often associates material wealth with success, but there is a wisdom in appearing humble. Not only it affects how others treat you, but it also affects how you see yourself. There's a famous quote by C.S. Lewis: true humility is not thinking less of yourself, it is thinking of yourself less. And not only that, psychologists argue that humility is the cornerstone of good leadership and emotional intelligence. When you don't flaunt your wealth, you allow yourself to connect with people at more deeper, authentic level. This is particularly important when you are in a leadership role. In fact, research by Harvard Business Review states that the leaders that are humble are often more successful at building trust and fostering loyalty among their teams. And let's be honest here, do you know that almost 27% of Americans just date for money? And almost 53% of Americans goes into action which is considered as financial infidelity. They hide purchases from their partner, they hide their debt from their partner. And that's a staggering number. So if you are flaunting your wealth, you know what kind of people you're going to attract. So if you are someone who really want to meet people, even in relationships, if you want to meet people who are more authentic and who are more genuine, you should not flaunt your wealth. And that is the power of being humble. I hope this message is clear to you. This takes me to the second point, which is financial freedom through modesty. Looking poor also allows you to avoid the lifestyle inflation. What I mean by that, when you start making more money, you automatically go and buy different purchases which are more expensive, and just to maintain the status among your peers, among your colleagues, that okay, everyone is buying good cars, so I should also buy a car. This mentality actually leads to the lifestyle inflation. Whenever you start making more money, you start thinking about purchasing things. You start thinking about moving to a good neighborhood, buying expensive car, or going to a better restaurant for dining out, and it just piles up. For example, you're in a corporate where you're pretty successful, and suddenly you realize that everyone in your role are purchasing good car, wearing designer clothes, and you also start to mimic that, or at least think about it. That called lifestyle inflation. Many people get caught up in this unending cycle where they keep upgrading themselves through spending more money rather than investing and saving. And if you are one of them, then please avoid this. By not flaunting your wealth, you are less likely to overspend, because you don't have to impress others. Financial guru Dave Ramsey, and one of my favorite, has often said that living below your means is one of the best way to start saving, investing, and getting financial freedom in your life. So listen to what financial guru says. Looking poor often gives you a constant reminder to save, invest, and keep intact for your long-term goal to get financial freedom. Think in that way. You will always have a safety net when you don't want to appear rich, but rather be rich. And in that way, you're not spending a lot of money on appearance or on the status that you want to present across the society, but in reality, you are broke. You don't want to do that. So I would argue that be yourself. Be humble, polite, and don't flaunt your wealth. That will go a long way. And I have discussed many times on this channel that almost 66% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Why you think is that? It's like you are bringing an income and you are spending the same amount. But if you have adjusted yourself, you would have been well off. There have been many studies which says that as you progress in your life with your income increasing, your spending also increases over time. The more gap you create between your income and your expenses, the more wealthy you will be in the future. So think of the long term and don't take this shortcut route of just keep upgrading yourself. I am guilty of that too. I keep getting income increase and I keep upgrading my lifestyle, and as a result, as I am getting more income, I'm also spending more, and this cycle kept increasing in such a way that my income and my expenses were hand in hand, very close. But the more gap you create, the more wealth you can accumulate. So don't become a person who is running on a treadmill of this cycle. There is a famous quote by Epictetus: wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. So you want to cut out your wants. The less you want, the more wealth you can accumulate. And this takes me to the third argument, the psychology of avoiding envy. Now let's talk about something which is often overlooked, envy. When you look wealthy, you might attract unwanted attention from others, and in the worst case, envy. And that's not just uncomfortable, it also have real consequences. When people perceive you as wealthy, they may have resentment against you. And studies have shown that envy can lead to negative consequences in social settings. According to the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, envy can cause people to distance themselves, become less supportive, and even sabotage your success. On the other hand, when you appear humble and modest, it disarms envy and allows you for more genuine and supportive relationships. You can achieve success without feeling like you are being judged. This reminds me of one of the famous incident with NFL player. What happened is that he often used to be very generous with his family and friends. He used to invite his family, take them to dinner all the time, and he used to take care of all the bills. So what happened is that one day he decided to invite all his family to a restaurant, and it's a very expensive restaurant, of course. So accordingly, he invited his whole family in an expensive place. All his family members started to order a bunch of food. They were expecting that of course again he will cover all the bills, but this day his wife tells him, hey, why don't you allow your family to cover our bill for today and you don't pay for everyone's bill today. This is like after almost 2-3 years of him paying for everyone in the family. And what happens is that his family got really mad. They were already envious of him, which he didn't know before. And after that dinner, it became very clear to him what his even family and close friends were looking in him. It was wealth. And they were envious of him because he made it big. So what happened that on that night, no one gave him a hug. They all paid for their bills and no one gave him a hug. No one said to him anything. No one gave him any kind of love, and they just disappeared. So the family people who used to give him a hug, used to say a lot of thank you and congratulations, they didn't say a word to him, but rather they were pissed and they left the place without giving him a hug or saying anything good to him. But rather they told, the next time you invite us, don't expect us to pay. The reason for me to share you this story is that when you associate yourself with people who brood over you just because of your money, they might be envious of you and they just want to be around you so that they can get some freebies from you, they can get some kind of benefit from you, and you don't want to have that in your life. You should always prioritize having a healthy relationship with people, not at the cost of money. Money and wealth and appearing wealthy can really bring a lot of negative energy in your life, and you should always avoid. This takes me to the next reason, which is increased privacy and security. Looking poor can also be a good strategy for your personal security and privacy. The more you look like everyone else, the less likely you will become a target of thefts and fraud. Think about it. Wealthy people who openly display their wealth are often the target of theft, robbery, and even unwanted attention from the opportunistic individuals. In 2023, the National Bureau of Economic Research states that people who openly flaunt their wealth are 30% more likely to be the target of physical theft as well as to be a target of robbery and other financial crimes. By dressing modest and appearing modest and not making wealth as a part of your identity, you actually create a layer of protection for you and your family. And this reminds me of rich PFF discussion on the Japanese restaurant omakase. These are high-level restaurants where people go spend a lot of money. It's expensive to have an omakase experience. And she went there and she saw there were billionaires. They were appearing like any other normal person. They're dressing like any other normal person. They don't show wealth at all. And she personally know them. And there were another couple who were from top to bottom completely in branded clothes. They had Louis Vuitton bags, Gucci belt, custom designer suits, and at the same time they were all messy and they created a lot of trouble for the waiter and waitresses to serve them. And once the bill comes, they gave a tip of 10%, while the billionaire sitting next to them, he blessed them with 50% tip. So the difference is, people who are looking rich may not be rich, and people who are modest may be richer than the people who are looking rich. And this can happen all the time. That is why in sales, people say don't go on their appearance, go on their pocket, their wealth. The rich people like to build wealth rather than building some sort of attention for themselves by making themselves obvious rich. And this takes me to the last point, long-term success and avoiding the trap of keeping up. One of the most dangerous aspects of living in the consumer-driven society is keeping up with the Genesis mentality. What I mean by that, the need to constantly appear wealthy and successful can trap people in this unending cycle of upgrading their lifestyle and unnecessary consumption and debt. By looking poor, you actually opt out of this race. You don't need to impress others with material goods. Instead, you can focus on the long-term goals like building assets, saving for retirement, or pursuing personal development. This gives you the freedom to live your life at your own terms without giving you pressure to look wealthy. According to the Fidelity Retirement Index, people who stayed frugal and they didn't get trapped into this consumer-based society were 40% more likely to achieve their retirement goals. What does that tell you? Is that if you don't get trapped in this material-based society where you have to keep spending on keeping up with the lifestyle that wealthy people have, then you opt out of this unending treadmill where you go out and you say, okay, I am fine with who I am. I don't need to showcase to people that I'm wealthy and I am living a healthy life. I'm saving for long term, I'm saving for my financial goals, and I'll be well off. And that's exactly I want you to do. So it is well said that don't measure yourself by what you have, but who you are. Think about it. So as you can see, looking poor is not about avoiding success or being ashamed of what you have. It's about making smart choices. Focus on humility, avoid the trap of consumerism, and protecting your privacy. In the world that often glorifies wealth, there is a power in embracing modesty. Looking poor can help you avoid financial pitfalls, stay true to your values, and protect your privacy. It's the mindset that empowers you what truly matters in your life. By this, I conclude this video, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion today. It's very important, and I really want you to associate with me through this channel. Please hit the like and subscribe to this channel so that we can meet again. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.